Thank you very much for attending the webinar. I'm Brad Shields. I head up the BI team at Decision Inc. Firstly, some of you might know us as ABM. We joined with Decision Inc. About 3 years ago, and we rebranded in September this year. Now, rebranding usually doesn't mean much, but in our case, it unlocked more than 300 extra team members with a diversity of skills that is astounding. Need a solution to build your customer loyalty program on mobile? Want a data literacy program to build your employees' data skills? Ready to move into Azure, Google Cloud, or AWS? Sorry, I'm now using notes on a separate screen, so I apologize for not looking. Need a center of excellence for both your internal and external stakeholders? We have the skills and experience to give you a great outcome for those kinds of things. So I want to talk about firstly the challenges of analytics investments. Teams, according to Gartner, data analytics teams are spending more of their time on the tactical and less on the strategic. With the rate of change in this area accelerating, it may be that this is not so wise. So how do DNA teams make the tactical less time consuming and allow time for more strategic thinking and actions? Teams need a diversity of skills that allow the routine to become automated, but automated correctly. It's reported that Japanese executives from a large car maker visited Detroit to view US automakers' efforts to add robots to the production process. The Japanese indicated that they feared the efforts would not be successful. And the reason they gave was that the makers would be doing the wrong things even faster than before. And that is so important. DA teams need a mix of skills from domain skills. Now let me go to my next piece of slide. Domain skills, they need data, analytic, and technology skills. The data analytics as a service program that I'm going to describe today will help you with all aspects of those skills. Let's review what normally happens. So let me just talk about the pace of technological change as I do this. It's overwhelming. This chart on the left-hand side here is some of the hype things inside Gartner at the moment. It's easy to get excited about this and forget about the 4 skills on the last slide. And like those Detroit automakers, do the wrong things even faster. The investment in DNA has been lumpy, not just in money, but also in attention from the attention. It distracts from the attention of the team. The big bang idea, if you look at that orange peak there, the big bang of time and money ends, and the results and improvements diminish quickly. People leave, processes aren't right, and we resort to manual interventions. The big bang isn't the right solution. So let's have a look a little bit further. Go down one more slide. And with so much change in the world, shouldn't we make analytics delivery model change as well? And that's what the next few slides are going to be about. So we'll jump down one more. The DAaaS program is designed to enhance capability. It's critical to move from simpler levels such as reporting and dashboards to enterprise-wide levels that provide greater insights. So in this chart, you'll see wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4. Lots of the companies that we assist are stuck in that wave 1. They're just reporting. There's some flat file reports going out, or things are being pushed into Excel. It's important for us to move our clients, and it's important for our clients to move to more modern approaches to analyzing their data, whether that's predictive and prescriptive, or whether that's all the way into AI, machine learning type pieces that automate back into processes. Okay, so the program that we're developing is very customized to suit your organization. So here's an example of a program with a client. Information security wasn't part of the program, but data lineage, publication, information sharing out to its customers, those were part of the program. So it's very customizable and certainly isn't an off-the-shelf program. We need to talk, we need to understand your needs, you need to understand what can be done, and all of that becomes part of the DAaaS process. So I'll move these down one at a time, but I'll talk about the whole package as we go through. Wouldn't it make more sense to build a program that took a long-term view and was mindful of developing all aspects of data analytics, remove lumpy expenditure, concentrate on continuous improvement, and have expenditure that matches the effort over the longer term? Decisioning supports this by rolling our experts into the program when needed to bring skills to improve capability. So what we're seeing on the screen here is what typically happens inside organizations, and what we're doing is moving those things to become more dynamic, to be over a longer term period. I think I have one more in there. So let's think of some examples of how this might work, bringing that data in long term and building your skills. Let's imagine you manage a city, and bringing in IoT data about people movements will allow you to help your team to help citizens with better planning for facilities. If you're an insurance company, benchmarking claims against others in the industry can only encourage improvement. So that sharing of data can be very valuable. Let's imagine you're an aged care provider. You can benefit from knowing real time about your clients, where they are, when they fall, when they need assistance. This extra data is already there in many cases, and it's just there for the taking and the gathering. So if we look at the program just at a large kind of macro sense, what we want to do is change the cost model and shift it from CapEx to OpEx. We want to provide a market knowledge place, or a knowledge marketplace that provides access to content, skills and solutions. And Decision Inc. has built that one. It's called Knowledge Inc. And last night there was lots of activity on there. I kept getting pings on Teams on my phone until I turned my phone off and went to bed. Continuous improvement is really important. What we see is that after the Big Bang, things get put into BAU. There's no budget for improvement anymore. It's just, let's keep doing business as usual. And unfortunately, that's not good enough in today's environment. And we need an analytics program that provides a structured approach to the execution of analytics. So let's talk about changing the cost model. The slide indicates the lumpiness of spending and capability. Organizational capability tends to lag behind spend, and as the investment falls, organization ability follows. Examples might be team members leaving and new projects commencing, so people's attention moves. There's no appetite or budget for continuous improvement because BAU, as I just said before, is about maintaining rather than improving. So wouldn't it be nice if we could change to a more continuous investment that allows for greater capability to propagate through the organization? So here's some benchmark ideas of how this can help. This is a research piece by Colligo in 2020, and it looked at this kind of transformation led by data and what it did. So here's some of the outputs. 21% faster to market, 4 times improved customer retention, 3 times greater productivity, and twice as likely to increase profitability. All amazing statistics that this kind of program can deliver for you. So when you're building this kind of program, it's really important to set up the best practices. And so some of those best practices, I'm not going to outline all of those. This presentation will come across to everybody on the call afterwards. That There's some of the things that are really important. Sharing the wins and results, for example, I'll just cherry pick a couple. Set up a usage data tracking environment so that all of the pieces of the project are actually measured using data. So practice what we preach when it comes to using data to enhance the business. That's just a really simple example of setting up a dashboard to measure the minutes used, the apps developed, and so on inside an organization. So the most important thing we can do there is actually at the bottom, how much revenue, how many hours saved, how much cost saved, really important. So the program can be very different. As I said, it can be set up. It can be set up in a number of different ways. So it's flexible, it's based upon your needs, and there's predictable monthly fees. I like to think of it as having two types of delivery resources. The first of those are those things that are always on. A client partner from DI will encourage program success. The knowledge platform will allow access for lots of skills and templates and so on. And the second I kind of think of as like a water tap. You turn it on when you need it and you turn it off when you're done. Examples of this might be a skilled resource for a particular technology, such as TensorFlow or Python, or an expert that's helped many clients move their data from on-prem to the cloud. As a global organization, we can leverage offshore DI resources at very economical rates. Excuse me. So quickly talking about the knowledge platform. Here's some of the pieces inside the knowledge platform. The Center of Excellence, for example, will have applications in it, frameworks, some technology resources, some skills and delivery ideas as well. So I'll just focus on the middle piece of that. That knowledge platform we use internally already for our business, and we can share, and you can use that with your business as well. Here's some of the skills inside the DI environment. There's a lot of them. We've just had our first person certified in TensorFlow here, for example, in that technology stack down the middle there. But certainly, that's not an extensive list. I think we've got just on 200 different skill identification areas that we're looking at. So I've just given you some of the bigger ones. Those resources can be available to you as part of the program. But continuous improvement is really important. Let me have a look at this kind of journey of continuous improvement. This is where many areas begin their data analytics journey. It works, but there are many operational issues in the processing of data. Reports and dashboards are all backward looking on what happened in the past. Insights are not extensive, and as a result of excess of staff are being used to build data manually on their desktops to provide reporting to the executives. These efforts are laudable and necessary, but they're not governed and they're often not accurate. They are also expensive, and most of them are manual. Okay, the response for some companies is to make data more automated in its collection and provide tools that allow some predictive ability and build a level of automation into these efforts. At this level, there are efforts to combine forecasting with results from operational systems. There are the first steps to share data sets with stakeholders externally, such as suppliers and customers. The next level brings data science capabilities into the picture, allowing for more sophisticated analysis. This tends to be a standalone endeavor with manual input and output. Data may come from additional sources external to the organizations, from the simple like weather to much more complex sources such as supply chain data. At this stage, processes are not yet automated in this area. Rather, they are based on the efforts of the data scientists, who tend to stand alone from the business somewhat at this level. In this phase, data and insights are integrated into many processes that are aimed to optimize the results of the interaction. An example might be the triaging of insurance claims based on a multitude of factors, including the nature of the injury, the demographics of the injured person, and the ability of resources to assist. Much of this will be based on historical data that adapts to new data as it comes in. The triage process is connected automatically into other processes inside the organisation. Okay, so let's go into the analytics program in a little bit more detail. So across the top here, you can see there's three main headings: strategy, data analytics, organisational capacity, capability. I've talked about the one on the right a little bit already. Strategy is really important. You don't want to end up like Detroit and just do the wrong thing faster. So the data analytics as a service piece, we strongly recommend that you start with strategy. Don't start just building things. You'll end up like Detroit. Data analytics is also vital, especially with the explosion of data, bringing in new data to answer new questions, previously unknown questions, provides the solution that leads to innovation and truly competitive advantage. And as I said, I've looked at the organisational capability in a previous slide. Okay, by leveraging a robust framework, clients are able to adapt the pace and trajectory of their analytics development to suit their needs and scale where they believe their investment will deliver the highest return. And really and truly, that's what it's about. It's about the ability to focus on the things that are important. Return's really important, and part of the data as an analytics as a service is really about measuring that return together. All right, so it's important to understand capabilities more than just technology. DAaaS provides a program for improving data literacy and providing skills from the DI resource pool at the right time. I can't stress the importance too much of the data literacy pieces of the DAaaS component. It's really, really important for us as we develop things that we're sending it to an audience that understands. Otherwise, we may well be wasting our time. Okay, let's move on a little bit. So, whilst this slide uses stages 1 to 4, our experience is that clients are best suited to follow an iterative approach as their DNA capabilities develop. Think back to the slides for the robust analytics model. They were the 4 pieces I showed before. If you're in the first level, plan immediately to build a data science lab might not be the ideal step. So I'll go through each of those steps in a little bit more detail now. Okay, so stage 1 really leverages the center of excellence and guides clients through the evaluation of their current environment and defining the strategy that they plan to execute. The frameworks and templates utilized in this phase leverage DI's best practice experience to design and architect a clear plan and program. At the end of this presentation, I'm going to give you guys an offer for a little bit of that first step around the building of the strategy. I'll talk about that when we get there. Okay, so stage 2, let me make sure I get it all on screen. We want to focus in this stage around modernisation and development of the analytics technology platform. This phase leverages DI's modern data platform architecture and enables significant technology scale as the framework is implemented. And I can't stress enough, the scale is really important. It's easy to build things for small volumes and small scale, but as data grows and grows and grows, you need to have that scale. I was talking with a client just before this meeting, and they were saying that their reporting environment only has a couple of 100 gigs in it. And there was a time where we talked about the reporting platform having maybe a gig. Scale is really, really important. So the modern data platform provides that scalable architecture, and it allows us to leverage new technology and data opportunities, as well as leading architectural guides to provide true scale. Full screen up again. So the second part of stage 2 is really about governance. And so governance is really important in this case. You need to wrap governance around change management. You need to have a data culture inside the organization, and you need data literacy to manage the governance of the system. So stage 3 focuses on the development of the analytics platform and user engagement tools. The technology platform creates the integrated link between the various analytic needs as well as types of analytic users' requirements. The analytics program platform provides the central hub for engagement with the users of their analytics. And I think those 4 boxes on this page are really, really important. That evolution from descriptive to diagnostic to predictive to prescriptive is really part of the modern data platform and really important. Most of us are sitting at descriptive and diagnostic. We're looking in the past. We're talking about things. We're making stories about what happened. But it's so important for us all to move towards looking at the future. Predictive and prescriptive are those pieces. And when all that's happened, continuous improvement. Let's keep it going. Let's keep improving. It's all well and good for what's been produced to be in BAU, but if you stop the spend, everything diminishes. Let's move forward with that continuous improvement of the analytics team, the analytics outcomes. Okay, just a couple of case study slides. I don't want to show too many of those. This one's an automotive retailer. And essentially, the client's problem was, it's a very typical problem. It's complex, there's many moving parts, things were breaking, things were manual in so many cases, things out to Python and to R and so on were causing problems. Everything ended up in ClickSense, which is maybe good, but the pieces on the way through there, this is not a modern data platform. So the program that we came up with took a strategic approach. We modernized the platform into Azure in this case, made the data movements automated and near real time, built a best practice approach to analytics, wrapped everything in a process that developed data and analytical literacy or data literacy, and it built a process for governance and change that ensured governed continuous improvement. And as I said earlier in the presentation, it was very much iterative. And so we kept moving around that stage 2 cycle to build and report, and kept developing and continuously improving that piece. Okay, so I've talked through these very, very quickly. So I'm down to the summary now. I'm glad that we started late, that I spoke too quickly in a bit of a panic, thinking we wouldn't finish. We might be okay. So there's a little bit more to talk about on the way through here. We'll just go down one more slide. In summary, the key, I think, to this service is to improve organisational ability while maintaining a regular and managed investment. So the lumpiness of the investment profile in blue, and the organisational ability up and down and up and down. We want to replace that using the DAaaS model with consistent investment and a continuous improvement to the capability inside the organisation. That's the aim of this program. And I really, really like this final slide. This graphic talks about the importance of combining people, leadership, culture, and investment as we drive and use the technologies to build fantastic outcomes. Naturally, the program is driven by data, and those dashboards will provide descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, and prescriptive elements to examine and improve performance. All right, so I raced through those parts very quickly. There's a little bit more to talk about and then we're done. Let me go down one more page. We're actually looking at the notes on one computer and try to keep them aligned, so it's good fun. To get started and to say thank you for your time today, what we're going to do is offer a data analytics visioning workshop without charge. This light version of the workshop will take up to 1 day. And if you need something much more complex, let's talk about that and we can customize it with you. So essentially in here, what we want to complete is a session that provides feedback on the 5 concepts on the right-hand side there: the business, the information, the applications, the data, and the technology. So if I go through those fairly in depth for this one, we need to make sure that the technology and data and applications give the right kind of growth, enhance and enable growth, and that the measurements are accurate so that we can understand how we're growing and how we're working. Insights and actions, we need to make sure that the end users experience information within the organisation in a way that's positive and helps them to drive growth and measurement. So we need to make sure that we've got the right tools and that we've got end users that are served by those tools. That conversation I had earlier this morning, one of their tasks right at the moment is to look at rationalizing their tools. They have a multitude of tools, and so when there's a multitude of tools, you need a multitude of people skilled in those tools, and they get used for very narrow niche pieces of the business. It's not an efficient approach. So data is really important as well. You need to have clean, accurate, frequent data that's relevant, accessible, and safe. And I think in today's environment, that safe is really, really important as well. And from the very lowest level, I guess, the technology, do we have the right technology in place? So all of those pieces will be covered in the Analytics Vision workshop or session, and we'd be happy to provide one of those to each of you. There's a little bit more about that on the next page, so let me go down one more. So the steps kind of in there are to understand the strategy, to establish what the architecture might look like, and then step 3 will be to give you a roadmap and funding suggestion to develop that journey. All right, so I have spoken too quickly, and that's the last of the slides that I'm going to show. One of the questions that's come up in the live Q&A is around outsourced resources, so using the DI staff in other locations. We're actively doing that now, and in fact some of our resources are working on projects down in South Africa right now as well. So those things are becoming much more commonplace. We have access to all of the CVs, for example, of all the team down there, and I'm in pretty much daily contact with the managers in that area around what's happening in their consulting environments, what their forecasts are like, and who's available. So it's certainly something that we can offer. It really depends on your organisation and your appetite for having people external to Australia work on the projects. We certainly haven't had any problems so far, but we'd certainly talk about that and organise it to work in a way that was acceptable to you. Okay, and the last question I can see there is around the data literacy program. So data literacy is not about a tool. It's about the concepts, and so if you think of it from a simple point of view, it's stupid questions like, you know, when should I use a bar chart? When should I use a pie chart? How do I interpret a bar chart? How do I interpret line charts and scatter plots and so on? All of those pieces of data literacy. But then as we move into more advanced areas, it's around, you know, correlation. It's a multitude of pieces. We have a program already established that's being run with a number of clients globally, and we can certainly talk to you further about data literacy as part of the data analytics as a service offering, but also as a standalone project if that's what you need to do. We're just in the final throes of developing one of those for a client down in Victoria, and it's very much customized for their particular industry, as an example. All right, so last chance for anyone to jump in and add a question into the mix, and if not, I think we may be able to finish a little bit early. I'll just give it another 20 seconds or so. I appreciate your patience with us as we started this presentation. I love Teams. It seems to change every time, and every time I come in and do a live event, it seems to have just changed a little bit about how it works. So it's all good, clean fun. All right, haven't had another question come in. So if that's it, I will finish off the presentation now. I think we're about 15-20 minutes early, so we've done it way too quick. Everybody gets a few minutes back in their day. All right, thanks so much. Goodbye, everybody.